The Silent Awakening. In the vast chamber of the Galactic Alliance headquarters, representatives from over 50 spacefaring civilizations gathered in an emergency session. The massive crystalline hall, suspended in orbit around Nexus Prime, hummed with anxious energy as holographic projections flickered and stabilized. At the center of the chamber, a simple message hovered in three-dimensional space. You cannot stop what's coming. Admiral Dren Jorvik of the Century Federation paced along the perimeter of the council floor, his azure skin darkening with agitation. As head of Galactic Security, he had personally led the investigation into Earth's sudden transmission. After nearly 7 decades of self-imposed isolation, this cryptic warning represented the first significant communication from humanity. "This is clearly a threat," declared Vorka, the chitinous ambassador of the Rixian hive. His mandibles clicked rhythmically as he addressed the council. "Humans have always been unpredictable. Now they emerge from isolation with this declaration of war." Chancellor Nix, the tall, willowy leader of the Alliance Council, raised a 6-fingered hand for silence. Unlike most representatives who attended via hologram, she was physically present, her silver-gray skin reflecting the ambient light. "We must not jump to conclusions," she advised, her voice melodic yet authoritative. "The message is ambiguous. It could be a warning rather than a threat." "With respect, Chancellor," Jorvik interjected, "ambiguity serves their purpose. Earth withdrew from galactic affairs without explanation 73 cycles ago. They closed their embassies, recalled their diplomats, and terminated all but the most essential communications. Their trade routes collapsed. Their colonies became autonomous or were abandoned. And now this." The massive data sphere at the center of the chamber shifted to display the Sol system. Earth appeared as a blue-green jewel, seemingly peaceful and unremarkable. "Our intelligence on their current capabilities is virtually non-existent," Jorvik continued. "In the brief period they engaged with the galactic community, humans demonstrated an alarming capacity to adapt and reverse-engineer advanced technologies. Who knows what they've developed in their isolation?" The Orvo ambassador, a being of pure energy contained within an environment suit, pulsed with concern. "The juridical archives indicate no formal violations of alliance treaties. Earth maintained the minimum contact required by the Interspecies Relations Accord." Chancellor Nix nodded thoughtfully. "Which is why I propose we send an investigative fleet, not as an act of aggression but to assess and establish communication." "My fleet stands ready," Admiral Jorvik offered immediately. "We can depart within 12 hours." The council debated briefly before approving the mission. As the session adjourned, Ambassador Vorka approached Jorvik privately. "The Rixian Collective has additional intelligence," he said quietly, mandibles barely moving. "During Earth's period of engagement with the Alliance, they showed particular interest in quantum mechanics and reality manipulation theories. Our scientists considered their inquiries disturbing." Jorvik's ridge crest rose in surprise. "Reality manipulation? That field is largely theoretical. Even the ascended races abandoned such research eons ago." "Precisely," Vorka responded. "Be cautious, Admiral. Humans have always been innovative in ways that defy conventional understanding." The Century Investigation Fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, a formation of 7 vessels led by Admiral Jorvik's flagship, the Celestial Vigilance. The ships were sleek, powerful, equipped with the latest stealth technology and defensive systems. On the bridge, Jorvik studied the tactical display. "Maintain passive scans only. Lieutenant Thuron, what are we seeing?" The reptilian tactical officer manipulated the holographic controls with practiced precision. "Minimal activity, Admiral, far less than expected. Their outer system defenses appear primitive. Basic satellite network, minimal orbital infrastructure." First Officer Alara Voss frowned, her feline features expressing clear skepticism. "That doesn't align with the intelligence assessment. Earth should have expanded its space presence, not contracted it." "Deeper scans," Jorvik ordered, feeling the first tendrils of unease curl around his spine. As the fleet progressed deeper into the system, the discrepancy became more pronounced. Earth appeared technologically regressed compared to when they had joined the galactic community a century earlier. "This makes no sense," Jorvik muttered. "Where are their defense platforms, their fleet, the orbital habitats they were so proudly constructing?" "Admiral," Lieutenant Thuron called, alarm evident in his voice. "I'm detecting unusual quantum fluctuations throughout the system. The pattern is organized, artificial." "Source," Jorvik demanded. "Indeterminate. It's everywhere, like background radiation, but with purpose." Jorvik remembered Vorka's warning about quantum mechanics research. Full defensive protocols, maintain distance from Earth, sentinel formation. The fleet arranged itself in protective formation as they approached Mars' orbit. Suddenly, reality itself seemed to waver around them. Jorvik felt a wave of disorientation wash over him, his inner ears struggling to maintain equilibrium. When his vision cleared, the secondary vessel in their formation, the Dauntless Hunter, had vanished. "Status report," he barked. "The Dauntless is gone, sir," Alara reported, her voice tight with controlled panic. "No debris field, no energy signature, no distress call. It's as if it never existed." Before Jorvik could issue new orders, the quantum fluctuations intensified. 2 more ships disappeared in rapid succession, silently, without violence or apparent effort. "Full retreat," Jorvik commanded. "Maximum velocity to the jump point." The remaining vessels pivoted and accelerated, their engines straining beyond safety parameters. They hadn't even cleared Mars' orbit when the fluctuations pursued them like predators tracking prey. "Send emergency transmission to Alliance headquarters," Jorvik ordered. "Full data package, priority alpha." "Transmission sent," confirmed Thuron. "Jump calculations complete, ready on your command." "Execute jump." The familiar sensation of hyperspace began to envelope the flagship, but then collapsed catastrophically as quantum distortions tore the jump corridor apart. The ship lurched violently, throwing crew members against bulkheads. When the main view screen reactivated, it displayed not the space around them but a human face. Male, with dark copper skin and calm, almost compassionate eyes. "You were not invited into our system, Admiral Jorvik," the human said simply. Jorvik straightened his uniform, determination overriding fear. "I am Admiral Dren Jorvik of the Galactic Alliance. Your message was received as a potential threat. We came to investigate." "And yet you brought warships," the human observed. "Where are my vessels, my people?" Jorvik demanded. "They have been relocated unharmed. A courtesy we extend because you did not come with hostile intent. Had you initiated weapons, there would have been no such mercy." Jorvik struggled to comprehend. What technology allows you to simply remove ships from existence? The human smiled slightly. "Not from existence, Admiral, we simply rewrote their place in it. Your crew members are safe billions of light years away. They will make their way home eventually." "Impossible," Jorvik whispered. "No civilization has mastered quantum reality manipulation at that scale." "Necessity drove us to discover what others considered impossible," the human replied. "Now return to your alliance with our message. Nothing can stop what's coming. It is not a threat from us, Admiral. It is a reality that will soon affect us all." The screen went dark, and Jorvik felt his ship shudder as external forces took control of its navigation systems. They were being sent home, alive but defeated, carrying questions without answers. The emergency session of the Galactic Alliance Council erupted into chaos when Admiral Jorvik delivered his report. The disappearance of 3 advanced warships without trace of destruction had sent shockwaves through the assembled representatives. "This is unprecedented," shouted Ambassador Vorka. "The humans possess technology that violates the fundamental laws of physics as we understand them. They must be contained before they can threaten the entire galaxy." Other species called for immediate military action, some for diplomatic engagement, others for complete quarantine of the Sol system. Chancellor Nix received a private communication during the uproar. The message was brief, but its implications vast. Quantum observer manipulation weaponized. Humans can rewrite spatial coordinates at will. Extreme caution advised. She gazed around at the panicked representatives. None of them understood. This wasn't just another interspecies conflict. This wasn't about territory or resources or ideology. Something fundamental had changed during Earth's decades of silence. "Silence," she commanded, her voice cutting through the din. The chamber gradually quieted. "I propose," Nix said carefully, "that we send a formal diplomatic mission to Earth. Not military vessels, not spies, diplomats, with an open invitation for Earth to rejoin the galactic community." Admiral Jorvik's hologram flared with indignation. "After what they did to my fleet, they must be held accountable. Your unauthorized reconnaissance mission violated their sovereign space," Nix countered. "And according to your own report, no lives were lost. Your missing ships and crews have been relocated, not destroyed." "Relocated where?" someone called out. Nix spread her hands. "That is among the many questions our diplomatic mission will ask." The vote was narrow, but ultimately diplomacy prevailed over military action. A delegation would be assembled, led by Chancellor Nix herself. As the council session adjourned, Admiral Jorvik approached Nix privately. "You're hiding something," he accused. "You know more than you're sharing." Nix regarded him thoughtfully. "I suspect," she said quietly, "that we've fundamentally misunderstood the human message." "Explain." "You cannot stop what's coming," Nix quoted. "We interpreted it as a threat. What if it's a warning? What if they've discovered or created something that will change everything, and they've been preparing for it all these years?" Jorvik's expression shifted from suspicion to contemplation. What could be so significant? Nix looked toward the holographic representation of the Milky Way that hung permanently at the center of the council chamber. Billions of stars, countless planets, civilizations rising and falling across the eons. "I don't know," she admitted, "but I intend to find out." The diplomatic vessel was being prepared. Soon they would face whatever humanity had become and discover exactly what was coming: a reckoning, a revelation, or perhaps the dawn of a new era for all sentient life. The revelation. The diplomatic vessel Harmonic Accord glided silently through the Sol system, its elegant form a stark contrast to the military ships that had previously attempted entry. Unlike Admiral Jorvik's fleet, it made no attempt at concealment. Its transponders broadcasted clear identification and peaceful intent on all standard frequencies. Chancellor Nix stood on the bridge, watching Earth grow larger on the main view screen. The blue-green planet appeared unchanged since humanity's first contact with the Alliance a century ago, a fact that continued to puzzle her. Advanced civilizations typically transformed their homeworlds with orbital structures, energy collection arrays, and defensive systems. Earth showed none of these expected developments. "We're receiving a response to our transmission," announced Communications Officer Vila, her luminescent antenna pulsing with surprise. "Text only." "Display it," Nix ordered. The message appeared simple and direct. "Diplomatic party of 7 may proceed to coordinates attached. No weapons. Your vessel will remain at current position." A set of planetary coordinates followed, somewhere in a mountain range on Earth's northern hemisphere. Protocol Director Zhen, a methodical insectoid whose species specialized in diplomatic procedures, chittered nervously. 7 is an unusual number. Our delegation consists of 12 representatives." "Then we shall select 7, Nix replied calmly. "I will of course attend. Lieutenant Myra for security, you for protocol, Ambassador Orlin for his expertise in human culture, Dr. Teller for scientific analysis, Diplomat Cora for negotiations, and Archivist Juro to record." Zhen's mandibles clicked in acknowledgement. A balanced delegation, but the humans' terms are unusually restrictive. "Yet they've agreed to meet us," Nix observed. "After 73 cycles of isolation, that alone is significant progress." The shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere without incident, following the provided coordinates to a landing pad nestled among snow-capped mountains. As the delegation disembarked, Nix was struck by Earth's raw natural beauty. The air was crisp, clean, entirely unprocessed, a rarity among developed worlds. A small group of humans waited to greet them. At their center stood a tall man with copper skin, whom Nix recognized from Admiral Jorvik's report. "Chancellor Nix," he greeted her with a slight bow. "I am Director Elias Aakaffer of Earth's Unified Defense Council. Welcome to Switzerland." Nix returned the gesture. "Director Aakaffer, your invitation honors us. May I present my delegation?" After introductions were completed, Aakaffer led them toward a structure built into the mountainside, nearly invisible until they were upon it. The entrance opened to reveal not a military installation, but something resembling a conference center, with large windows overlooking the spectacular mountain landscape. "You seem surprised, Chancellor," Aakaffer noted as they entered. "I expected something more. Fortified," Nix admitted. Aakaffer smiled slightly. "Our defenses aren't confined to physical locations anymore." Once seated in the conference room, Director Aakaffer wasted no time addressing the purpose of their meeting. "You've come about our message, about what happened to Admiral Jorvik's fleet." "Yes," Nix confirmed. "Your message, 'You cannot stop what's coming,' has caused considerable concern throughout the Alliance. Many interpreted it as a threat." "It wasn't intended as such," a new voice interjected. A woman had entered the room unnoticed, impossibly, as Dr. Teller's sensory enhancements should have detected any approach. She was elderly by human standards, with dark skin and silver-white hair worn in intricate braids. "This is Professor Enkioma Adichie," Aakaffer introduced her, "the architect of the Quantum Observer Initiative." "You're the one responsible for the technology that displaced our vessels," Lieutenant Myra stated, her tone careful but accusatory. Professor Adichie took a seat at the table. "I developed the theoretical framework. Implementation was a global effort spanning decades." "Why?" Nix asked simply. "Why did Earth withdraw from the galactic community? Why develop such potentially devastating technology in secret?" Aakaffer and Adichie exchanged glances. "That is a long story, Chancellor," Aakaffer replied, "but you deserve to hear it." 75 years earlier, Professor Adichie explained, a human quantum physics team had made an accidental discovery while attempting to develop faster-than-light communication. They detected patterns in the quantum field that couldn't be explained by natural phenomena, evidence of deliberate manipulation on a cosmic scale. "At first, we thought we'd discovered signs of a previously unknown intelligence," Adichie continued. "But further research revealed something far more disturbing. The universe itself was being altered, reality rewritten at its most fundamental level." Dr. Teller leaned forward, his crystalline structure vibrating with scientific interest. "By whom? To what purpose?" "We call them the Void Architects," Aakaffer said grimly. "We don't know their true nature, only their effect. They exist outside conventional spacetime, manipulating reality like programmers manipulating code. We detected them because they were making changes in our region of space," Adichie added. "Small adjustments at first, quantum states, probability fields, fundamental constants shifting by infinitesimal amounts, but accelerating." Ambassador Orlin, who had remained silent until now, spoke up. "You're suggesting entities capable of rewriting physical laws? That's beyond even theoretical xenoscience." "Yet it's happening," Aakaffer said firmly. "We tracked the changes, projected their progression. Within another century, the alterations would begin affecting macroscopic reality, stars, planets, organic life. Within 2 centuries, our section of the galaxy would become uninhabitable by any known life form." Nix felt a chill of comprehension. "So Earth withdrew." "To prepare," Adichie confirmed. "We needed to develop countermeasures without alerting these entities to our awareness. Any attempt to share this knowledge risked exposure." "The Galactic Alliance has the greatest scientific minds across thousands of species," Protocol Director Zhen objected. "Why not seek assistance?" "Because the Alliance operates openly," Aakaffer explained. "Your communications networks, your research databases, all potentially observable. We couldn't risk the architects accelerating their timeline if they realized we detected them." So instead, humanity unified as never before, Adichie continued. Nations set aside centuries of conflict. Resources were diverted from conventional development to quantum research. We stopped building outward and started building inward, focusing on understanding reality at its most fundamental level. And you succeeded, Nix observed. The technology you used against Admiral Jorvik's fleet. Quantum reality anchoring, Adichie nodded. We learned to observe sections of reality with such precision that we could temporarily fix them in place, preventing alterations. Then we discovered how to make our own adjustments, small at first, then increasingly significant. Including relocating starships across vast distances, Lieutenant Myra noted dryly. A practical demonstration, Aukaffer acknowledged, though not our primary purpose. Archivist Juro, who had been silently recording everything, finally spoke. You said you cannot stop what's coming. If you've developed this technology, what can't be stopped? Adichie's expression grew grave. The Void architects have noticed our interference. Our observation and counter-adjustments haven't gone undetected. They're responding, accelerating their timeline, focusing their efforts. We've bought time, not victory, Aukaffer added. Within 5 years, they will begin major realignment of our region of space. We can protect Earth, perhaps even the Sol system, but not the entire sector. Understanding dawned on Nix. Your message wasn't a threat, it was a warning. And an invitation, Adichie confirmed. We've reached the limits of what we can accomplish alone. Now we need the Alliance, not just humanity, but all sentient species working together. You could have simply told us this 70 years ago, Diplomat Cora pointed out, her gelatinous form pulsing with skepticism. Would you have believed us? Aukaffer asked. Without proof, without demonstration, you would have dismissed it as human paranoia or deception. We needed to develop enough understanding and capability to prove our claims, Adichie explained. And to ensure that when we did reach out, we had something substantive to contribute to the solution. Nix considered this. The human's actions, while extreme, followed a certain logic. What do you propose now? A joint initiative, Aukaffer replied without hesitation. Earth will share everything we've learned about quantum observation and reality anchoring. In return, we need the Alliance's cooperative resources, computational power, energy production, and most importantly, diversity of scientific perspective. Our approach has been uniquely human, Adichie admitted. Other species may see solutions we've missed. Together, we might develop methods to permanently shield our region of space from external manipulation. Or even communicate with these architects, Ambassador Orland suggested. Perhaps negotiate. Aukaffer's expression remained skeptical. We've attempted communication. There's been no response that we can interpret as dialogue. These entities may not recognize our form of consciousness at all. Either way, Adichie concluded, we face this together or we fall separately. The choice is yours, Chancellor. Back in the Galactic Alliance headquarters, the Council chamber was unusually subdued as Chancellor Nix presented the human delegation's evidence. Holographic displays showed the subtle quantum shifts detected over decades, the projections of accelerating change, and the theoretical models of what would happen when those changes reached macroscopic scale. Extinction, Admiral Jorvik whispered, his earlier anger replaced by grim understanding. Not by violence or conquest, but by the universe itself becoming hostile to our existence. The human quantum anchoring technology is still in its early stages, Dr. Teller explained to the assembled representatives. It can create localized stability, but cannot yet permanently resist the external manipulations. However, it provides proof of concept. And you believe this threat is real? Ambassador Vorka demanded, mandibles clicking rapidly. Not some elaborate human deception. I have personally examined their data, Dr. Teller responded. The evidence is compelling. Furthermore, the quantum distortions they identified have now been independently verified by our own scientists. The effect is real and accelerating. Chancellor Nix took center stage again. The humans have proposed a joint initiative, the Quantum Reality Preservation Project. They will share all their research and technology. In return, they ask for our cooperative resources and scientific expertise. The council erupted into debate. Some species called for further investigation, others for immediate action. A few suggested abandoning the affected region entirely, migrating to distant sectors of the galaxy. Finally, Admiral Jorvik rose to speak. I was the first to call for action against Earth. I was wrong. Their methods were extreme, but their purpose was protection, not just of themselves, but potentially all life in this sector. I support the joint initiative. The vote was not unanimous, but the majority prevailed. The Galactic Alliance would partner with humanity to face this unprecedented threat. As the session concluded, Chancellor Nix found herself standing beside Director Ockhaffer, who had observed the proceedings silently. Will it be enough, she asked quietly, even with our combined efforts? Ockhaffer gazed at the massive holographic display of the galaxy rotating slowly above them. I don't know, he admitted, but together we have a chance. Humanity spent decades believing we had to face this alone. That burden nearly broke us. And now, Nix prompted. Now we remember what we first learned when we joined the galactic community, Ockhaffer replied, a faint smile crossing his face. That diversity of thought, of biology, of perspective is the greatest strength of sentient life. The Void Architects may understand the code of reality, but they don't understand us. And that will make all the difference, Nix asked. It already has, Ockhaffer said, watching as representatives from dozens of species formed impromptu discussion groups, already planning, theorizing, preparing. They expected the universe to follow predictable patterns. They didn't account for the one force more powerful than physical law, the determination of conscious beings to exist, to survive, to thrive. As if in confirmation, the representatives from the Rixian hive approached. Mandibles clicking in what Ockhaffer had learned was a gesture of respect. The collective has analyzed your quantum anchoring equations, Ambassador Vorka announced. We believe our hive computation systems can improve efficiency by 27%. We request permission to begin immediate collaboration. Ockhaffer nodded, granted with gratitude. Across the chamber, similar conversations were taking place. The greatest minds of 1,000 worlds focusing on a single problem, sharing knowledge that once would have been jealously guarded. Nix observed it all with quiet satisfaction. Perhaps we should update your message, she suggested to Ockhaffer. Nothing can stop what's coming, except all of us together. For the first time since she had met him, Director Ockhaffer laughed, a sound of genuine hope. Let's make that true, Chancellor. Let's make that true. As the newly formed Quantum Reality Preservation Project began its work, Earth's long isolation ended not with conflict, but with cooperation. The greatest threat ever faced by sentient life had inadvertently created its greatest alliance, one that would reshape the future of all species in ways the Void Architects, with all their power to manipulate reality, could never have predicted. Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.